You're listening to Closing Market Weekly, the show where real estate closings meet real world insight. With your host, Phillip Hogan, and every week we break down the trends, tools, and the timing that keeps deals moving forward. Let's dive in. Hi, I'm Phillip Hogan, host of Closing Market Weekly. Welcome to the show. You may also know me as the CEO of Signing Services of America. And in that role, I've had a great opportunity to work with a number of notaries over the 9 years that we've been in business. And since we've been in business for 9 years, one of the features that we have started with our notaries is having a Notary of the Month contest. It's just a nice gesture to show our appreciation for the outstanding work that our notary was doing for the month. And so in this month, our honoree or our awardee is Trina Miller, who is a notary in Southwest Virginia. And Trina is a notary since 2016, and she got her notary signing agent commission in 2017. And in that time frame, she has closed, believe it or not, over 1,700 different type of signings. What a record. That's impressive. We're going to talk about that more. And she's also very proficient in problem solving. And she's also has 50 years of experience working in the human services arena. And she has a bachelor's in social work, and I have a master's in social work from Fordham University. So many people have asked me, well, how do you make the transfer or transition from social services to the notary signing world and owning a signing service? And so let's just present that question to our guest. Trina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Phillip. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, and so we've known each other. This is the first time we've actually worked with one another and spoke to one another and while looking at one another over the past 5-6 years. So you've done some fantastic work for us, and we really appreciate your work and your efforts. And so, but please tell us, how did you amass 1,700 signings in the time frame? How did you do that?
I take everything that comes my way pretty much, and um, I select them for. I make a travel plan,
Mm-hmm.
and so I try not to. I piggyback them. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
I do as many as three in a day,
Uh-huh.
which allows me to reduce my travel time since I'm going in the same direction. I can do three signings and not have to come home and go do another one, come home, go do another one.
Uh-huh.
So I set up a whole trajectory. If you, I schedule real tight. I allow about 15 minutes of wiggle time.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're allowed to start as much as a quarter hour early, if I am really crammed, I will use that so that I make enough space in my schedule to get to each signing on time.
Wow, very impressive. Very, very impressive. And so, I'm hoping that the newer notary that's listening is, taking some notes and seeing how you can also become successful as well as our guests. And so another question I like to ask you is I like this one because it sometimes comes up with some funny answers. And that is that the question is, what was your first experience like in the closing process?
And the one I remember is one where I left the voided check with the signers an hour and a half away. And I had to go at night because they worked during the day.
Uh-huh.
So I had to apologize all over myself and
Uh-huh.
go back the next night because it was like midnight by the time I got home and pick up the check. And it was very embarrassing, but they were very understanding.
Uh-huh.
People in this area are very understanding. But it was pouring rain and it was just an awful drive. So that sticks in my memory and I do not make that mistake again. And I put fail safes into my routines
Uh-huh.
so that I don't make mistakes like that.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, that sounds like it's a mistake that has really taught you well. And I hope again, the newer notaries, please, you're listening to, a very experienced notary signing agent. So, it's a free lesson in terms of what not to do to be successful.
Mhm.
And so what's one mistake, what's one closing mistake that you'll never forget? Is it the check issue or another one?
Yes, that one, that's the biggest one,
Okay.
really.
All right. Okay. Great. And then what's one tool or system you swear by?
Having a routine and sticking to it.
Okay.
Over the years, I've built several things. I've built a spiel or a presentation that really works for me. It
Mm-hmm.
comes easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't miss things if I stick with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I tell people what it is they're signing so that they have a general idea. I put little blue stars by the first signature on every page
Mm-hmm.
so that people know they're looking for their little blue stars.
Mm-hmm.
I go up, which means I go through and prep the documents the night before the signing. And
Okay.
I do the same thing with processing. I
Okay.
make sure that I process the same night if at all possible. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care how late it is,
Mm-hmm.
just so I don't forget to do it
Mm-hmm.
and I have plenty of time to drop documents.
Fantastic. Another question is do you prefer paper or digital?
Paper.
Okay. And the final question is what's one trend in the industry you think is overrated?
Inflexibility. In my experience, the one thing that will keep me from being assigned is to tell people that I am not available at a certain time on that particular day. And in our area, people are very flexible and notaries are hard to come by. So most of my employers, if you would, you and others, have figured out that I'm happy to call a signer and ask if they are flexible, and I've never been turned down.
Mm,
That means that I can serve them better and we can get these signings done rather than them being,
mm-hmm.
having to be postponed.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Great. Thank you for that information. And again, it's tremendously valuable. And the show allows us to talk with one another, because we're all so transactional orientated that, we just want to get on the phone, present the issue or our needs, find out if you can get it done, and then we move on.
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know. And so
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
there's a wealth of information that just doesn't never is disclosed because we're all in the moment, and that's why the show is created to have these extended conversations, if you will, about topics and issues that go on that neither one of us understand, but will help us understand each other because now we've had this opportunity to have this few minutes of open discussion. So so for our guests, our tagline is closing market weekly. We are closing deals one episode at a time. So today's deal that my guest and I hopefully will close is under the category of operational challenges. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what the challenge is, and let's just see if we can close a deal around that.
Sure. The biggest challenge in our area is lack of cell service. Well, two of them. And um, the time it takes to travel to a signing because we live in the mountains. And so it may be only 10 miles, but it may take me 30 or 40 minutes to get there
Mm,
because having to go all around the mountain or, roads not being direct. And reporting in is very difficult in many places because I don't have cell service.
mm,
So the same thing with locating a signing. What I have had to do is that I check Google Maps before I leave home where I know I have good service, and I screenshot my path so that if I don't have cell service on the way, I can still find where I'm going. I get the signers to give me clues. It's like a big game of clue to find many of them, color of the house, color of the truck, those kinds of things, so that I am able to locate them, even though I may not have service on the trip.
That is fantastic. I would have never known you go through those type of hoops to close a deal for us and any of your other clients. And I can certainly see why those are operational
Everybody,
challenges. You have to take a screenshot. Oh,
everybody
oh
gets
my,
the benefit of that.
oh my goodness. So do you carry a map or you carry a map?
No, no, I just use my cell phone and I GPS things before I leave home, and then
Okay.
I screenshot those so
Very
that I
nice.
get there. And
Okay.
funny story, this is another one that I just have to tell it because I love it.
Sure.
I went to an area that did not have signal. It
Uh-huh.
was after a snowstorm. It was a late signing.
Uh-huh.
I ended up in the middle of the national forest with no GPS signal, except in about 1 foot of space. If
Oh
I
my
moved my
God.
car 1 foot either way, I didn't have signal anymore. So I found that spot and I
Uh,
called the signer and I said, "Excuse me, but how in the world do I get there from here?" And he said, "Oh, it took you in the back way. If you keep going, you'll finally get here." So I think we did the signing at midnight, but I had a blanket in my truck and I was ready if I had to spend the night because I couldn't see where I was going.
Uh-huh.
And there were, they don't have street lights in the national forest.
Uh-huh.
And finally, I met a young couple who had evidently been kissing and hugging on each other. And they came out um, past me and I said, "Can you get me out of here?" "Sure, no problem." So they got me out to where, I could find my way again. But
Right.
oh my God, that 1 foot made all the difference in the
Made
world
all
in
the
cell
difference in the
signal. It was
world.
like, oh my God.
So you certainly know your territory. That's for sure. And
Hmm.
for those that are looking for an experienced notary in Southwest Virginia, our guest is the one you're looking for. Not only is she experienced in regard to how the documents need to be executed, she's also experienced in understanding how to get from her home to the signer and back because she lives in a very remote region of the country. And so thank you for that. Thank you for sharing those stories. So what is one tip or piece of advice for the notary signing agent working in industry that you would provide to them?
Creativity and flexibility.
Creativity and
Um,
flexibility.
think outside the box.
Okay. Okay.
And you're saying one, but
Yes.
that's the big one because you and I know the signings that we have done together have gotten kind of interesting.
Yes, they have.
And
To say the least.
and yeah, and but if I put the puzzle pieces together and I think, well, what if I do this, this, or this, and
Uh-huh.
it'll work.
Uh-huh.
Um, I just have to be really creative in my thinking and not be restricted by what is normal because there's nothing normal about where I live.
And that has helped you to accomplish 1,700 signings, right? Is to be creative. And I think that being an entrepreneur, being a contractor, it allows us to do just that, to think
Hmm.
about what's the best way to get something done. If you're working for someone else, maybe you don't have the opportunity to be creative. However, in the work that you do, in the work that I do, we are able to look at situations and sort of like either think of what needs to be done in the process of getting it done, or you can,
Hmm.
have a plan as to what you want to do before you start. But you may have to modify it in the process because you realize that what you anticipated it could be done is not going to work for that
Yeah,
situation. So carrying a
yeah.
blanket, right, and being prepared to sleep in the car because that's an interesting story, and thank you for sharing that. So listen, Trina, if we want our clients or guests, or I'm sorry, our audience would probably love to talk more with you and would love to hire you. How can someone find you to connect with you?
Email is probably the best way because my email is very easy.
Okay,
It is T as in Trina, notary09 at gmail.com.
and repeat that once more, please.
T notary09 at gmail.com.
Great. All right. So there you have it. We have Trina Miller. who has 1,700 notary signings since 2017. That is fantastic. And
17.
yeah, so when you want to talk to someone and you really want to listen to somebody who really knows what's going on and has been there, our guest is someone who's done that. And she's left her Gmail for you to reach out, and I'm sure she would answer all questions and obviously take any type of orders from you if you're looking for someone in Southwest Virginia. So thank you so much for being on the show. And it's wonderful to finally have met you and talk with you and also to laugh with you about some of your antics and some of your experiences. And I'm sure if we was set by a fire, you could tell us a whole bunch more stories. And maybe we'll have you come back and tell us some more, okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Phillip. It's always a pleasure to work with you.
Likewise, thank you so much, and you take care of yourself. Thanks for tuning in to the Closing Market Weekly. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone in the industry. For more insights from the front lines of real estate closings, we'll see you next week.